Good morning to you all, and I welcome you back to this online session of Python application programming. So, in our previous class, we had discussed about list. Today, we are going to see another type of data structure, that is dictionary. Okay, so this data structure after list, this is another type of data structure, and we shall see like how it appears, dictionaries, and what are the syntax and how we could try to work with the elements inside the dictionary. We just initially we try to understand the format of dictionary, how it looks. Maybe it is a typical format, um, unlike a list and other data structures. And we'll also try to understand how to read the elements one by one by looping into dictionaries. And we should also perform some operations on a text file using dictionaries like counting the number of characters, okay, and putting it into a dictionary format, counting a number of characters in a word, counting a number of words, that is histogram of words in a text file, and so on. So firstly, what is a dictionary? A dictionary is just like a list. I'll just try to explain here. So dictionary is just like a list. List we had, suppose I had a list which has been created with the number of elements, say like this. Even it can include the strings as well, and it could include uh, the floating point values. So now, guys, if I ask you a simple question, what is the index? How do you fetch the element of this list? What is the index? How do you fetch the element? So I would fetch the element using what? Can anybody tell me? Like, how do I fetch the element? Using the indexes, right? Used to fetch the element using the index. Suppose if I say list of 1, okay, I used to get the element 2. I used to fetch using the indexes, okay. And what were the indexes? The indexes were always integers here. Indexes here, you could see the indexes were always integers, correct? So in a list, the index positions have to be always an integer. But in a dictionary, the indices can be of any type. You can think of a dictionary as a mapping between set of indices. So here in dictionary, indexes can be anything. It can be a number, it can be a floating point value, it can be a string, anything, right? So that is a major difference between a list and a string. So now, in order to obtain the indexes of any character, I should create, or I should map the indices called as keys. I call this indices as keys. So here the index value will be known as keys, and the value here, the value will be known as the element which is associated, the key which maps to a value is called as a value. Yeah, I could also say here this as an element. So here in this case, with respect to the list, the key was, the index was a key here, that is 1, and the value was 2, correct? The value was 2. Likewise, I would say the dictionary can be created using a key value pair. A key value pair. Or sometimes I call this as an item in dictionary. I call this as an item in dictionary. I hope I understood this. Now let us just see how, we'll see an example how we can build a dictionary using a key value pair. So again, it is a list of key value pair, I could say. Okay. So now the function dict, the function DICT creates a dictionary. I could create a dictionary with no items because DICT is a built-in function. Suppose if I want to build a dictionary of English numbers to Spanish number, if I want to convert or if I want to fetch the English to Spanish numbers, I could say ENG to SP. ENG to SP is just a variable which I've created. And how do I create an empty dictionary? Just simply call by its function DICT. Now, again, I could say this as an instance or an object with respect to the empty dictionary which I have created. Correct? Now we could see, you could print and see what is that variable ENG to SP. This is just a variable or an instance or an object also. Now you can see the notation, the curly brackets. The notation of the dictionary is the curly brackets or the flower brackets, which we usually call, and it represents an empty dictionary. Now if you want to add an item to this dictionary, here now I've created creates empty dictionary. Okay. Now if I want to add an element to this empty dictionary, so it should be a key value pair, right? It should be a key value pair, usually called it as an item. So now how to add? Now I can add by say ENG to SP, right? ENG to SP is the variable. Now I would create an element with respect to its index, right? So index, I would call it as say 1. Okay, index as 1, or I can say ONE, it's a string, and I'll assign a value here, correct? So I'll assign a value. So what is the value? So in Spanish for 1, I will call it as uno, correct? So now what is this statement? So this statement, carefully observe guys, here the line creates an item that maps uno, right? So this is an element. So that maps uno to the key 1, correct? Okay. So if we print the dictionary again, so if you say ENG to ESP, ENG to SP, you could see the key value pair now. So this is a dictionary. This is one element or one item of a key that is 1 and a value that is uno. It's a key value pair and I call it as an item of a dictionary. And obviously, if you could see here, key and value are separated by a colon. Correct? So now ENG to SP is a dictionary with one item of key value pairs. One is key and the second one is uno, right? So here the output is also an input format. Understand, whatever output that you see, it is also an input format. Now I could create a dictionary, something like this. I could just expand the Spanish words of English to Spanish words. See here, if I say print, this is also this is how I can create a dictionary directly by assigning the key value pairs inside the flower brackets or a curly brackets. Now you could see, so whatever the output is visible here, the output of a key value pair which is visible here is same as the input or input syntax or the structure of dictionary, correct? So the order of the key value pairs is not same. You can always type the same example on your computer and you might get some different results. You may get different results like this. If you type this, you may get the orders of this key value pair will change. You call it as hashing. So this, it is irrespective of the order of input. You call this kind of function or what the method or the concept as hashing, whereas the order of input is not proper as given. It randomly it may display the result. Okay. So now, if I want to, the problem now is the elements of a dictionary are never indexed. Okay, so now if I want to print the value of a corresponding key, okay, if I want to use the keys to look up the corresponding values, I can use it. Say eng to sp is the variable of dictionary. So very similar to your list, I will call by its index. Suppose if I call by its index, now I'll be knowing the value of eng to sp of 2. That is, 2 is not defined, 2 is defined, but why am I not getting? What is the problem here? Okay, this should be a string. Sorry, this should be a string. Now you could see DOS. So now I could try to use the keys to look up the corresponding values. The key 2 here, the string, the 2 always maps to the value DOS. So the order of the items doesn't matter here. Understand? The order of the item doesn't map. Suppose if I look for a key called 4. Do you have 4 guys here? Do you have 4? Do you have 4 in a dictionary which I've created here of key value pairs? Do we have a key with a string called 4? I asked you a simple question. Hello?